Hey everyone, welcome to another video here. In this video, we're going to talk about what Keyforge is, what it's all about, what makes this game different than all your other trading card games. So stay tuned and we'll dive right in. All right, so what is Keyforge? Maybe you're new to the game or you've heard about it, looking to get into the game. First off, Keyforge is a card game and it is created by Richard Garfield and is being produced and distributed and made by Fantasy Flights Games. Keyforge is a card game that is actually a unique game. It is not your standard trading card game or living card game, in the essence that in a trading card game you are buying maybe a starter deck and a bunch of packs and you're customizing your deck, building it with the faction or the house or the type that you prefer. In a living card game you are maybe buying a deck that is set, but other people have access to this. With Keyforge, you're not spending the money and building, you're actually just buying a deck that is built by a computer algorithm and playing with that. You're not building, you're not adding cards to it, you're not taking away. You're literally just playing with the deck that you bought, and that's really it. It's simpler and it's not as complicated with the deck building as a trading card game is, and it doesn't really have a meta. So there's not as much of a spending money to keep up with it kind of aspect to this game. So what makes this unique and what makes this different? It starts really with the deck and how that is made and how you use it and play with it. With the decks, they are actually not made by you. So like I said, it's not a trading card game where you're building, it's not a living card game where you're buying it. Well, you are buying it, but Keyforge is actually built by a computer algorithm. That computer takes all the cards, there are 370 of them, and they're split into 7 houses. It picks 3 houses for you to use and then gives you 12 cards from those houses. So you get a unique deck that is within those 3 houses, within those 12 cards that nobody else has. Nobody else in the world is going to have the exact same deck list as you. Might come close, might have some of the same cards, might have some of the same combos, but it's not going to have every single card just like you have, which is really cool. There's no adding to it. You're not trying to buy something to put it in to see if it works. There's no taking away from it. You, to play the game, have to use the 36 cards that were given to you in that deck by the algorithm, which is really different. Most, like I said, games, you're building it. This is more of you finding a deck and learning that deck and playing with that deck. The other thing that's really cool that makes it unique, that a lot of people are really enjoying, is the names. Every deck is actually given a interesting name. The name is actually built based on the cards that you have in your deck. There's some algorithm for that where it pulls names from a pool based on the cards and combos. Gives you some really cool, fun, just kind of fun to say names. Then you also get your own image, your own icon on the back of the cards that are unique to that deck too. So every deck from the back view will also look really different, be able to be identified as, oh, that's my deck, or oh, that's all these cards go together. So you're not trying to sort through your cards. If you drop the deck and it's, scatters everywhere, you can pick them up, you know which cards are in your deck. So there's a lot of uniqueness to this in the design aspect and in the way the deck is built and the way you play with it. All right, so the other aspect that is unique and different with this game is the style of play and the way you play. So unlike most other card games where you're trying to destroy your opponent or deal so much damage or beat them, In Keyforge, you're actually trying to forge 3 keys first. And that changes some things because some people, like myself, might like to play real attacky, where you're kind of attacking your opponent and where you're going after them. Whereas other people, like my wife, likes to play kind of within her own board, within her own thing that she's built without really doing any fighting if she doesn't have to. This game allows you to do kind of either or. You don't technically have to attack. In Keyforge, attacking is more to control what your opponent has built on their side and what they're trying to do to slow that down. It's not at all about how you win. It's not the winning factor. In Keyforge, you are gaining amber, and then once you have so much, you forge a key. And you can only forge 1 per turn, so at least half the game has to take 3 turns. It'll take many more. But you're trying to build to forge, and you're doing it on your own. So this takes the I have to have so many creatures out, or I even have to have creatures out aspect really out of the game, which all other games, you have to have something there to battle, to defend, to do anything, to even have a chance at winning. In Keyforge, you're playing based off of how your deck is. The other thing that's really cool about this is you are kind of limited, and you have to have a strategy element to it because, like I said, you have the 3 houses per deck. You have to choose at the beginning of your turn which of those 3 houses you're going to play. And you only get to play the cards from those houses. So say you had Shadows, Brobnar, and Logos. If you've got a bunch of shadow cards out already, but your hand is full of Logos, you're not going to be able to draw, you're not going to be able to move cards or get new things or try to do anything new because you've been playing Shadows this whole time. So there's the strategy to like, okay, I've got the board, I've got it made up, but man, I might need to play another house this turn even though this is working, because if I don't, I might put myself later in a position where I'm screwed. So this game adds an element to where you're balancing your hand, what cards you're filtering through, and you're balancing really who you play and when. The other thing that are really kind of different that make Keyforge stand out is, one, you don't lose if your deck all the cards get played. And a lot of games, once all your cards are played, you either have to stop or you lose. In Keyforge, you shuffle it all back up and you start drawing again. What else makes Keyforge different is that you're not limited to how, when, and where really you play. In most games, trading card games in general, you have kind of set times and phases, turns to do things in. So maybe you have to do all of your playing, then you attack, then you do something else. Or you have to do this within these turns. In Keyforge, it's pretty different. You start out, if you can forge a key, you forge one. You then will claim your house, which one you're going to play from, and then you just play. You can play as many or as little cards as you want. You can reap and then attack and then do something else, then attack again. There's no order to that, which makes it fun and makes it more strategic, because you have to think through, okay, I can do this and then do this and then do this, but if I do this first, then I can do this, this, and this. A lot of this is, but Keyforge allows you to have a lot of freedom into what you're playing, what you're doing. It also has freedom in the sense that in a lot of games, if you can't do something on the card, then you can't play it. In Keyforge, you do everything that you were able to do, and then if you can't do something else, you just don't do it, which is really fun because sometimes you might run into problems or something where the game text of the card doesn't do anything for you, but maybe by playing the cards you get something. So you still want to play the card, but because you can't do the text, it doesn't really matter. You'll still get the bonus of whatever you would have gotten for playing it. So Keyforge has a lot of new aspects, different aspects. It also has a really cool element to the game called the archives. The archives allows you to kind of put cards in there, and at the beginning of the turn, if you would like to look at those cards and put them into your hand, you can, which allows you to kind of build, if you want, on the side a really strong, really powerful hand that you can just kind of one turn drop, do all these crazy cool things. Lastly, you get all your cards back to being ready to play the next turn at the end of your turn. So in most games, you kind of ready or untap or unexhaust your cards at the beginning of your turn. And this game, it's changed up. Keyforge, you unexhaust, untap your cards at the end of your turn. Why that's fun and different is because if your opponent on their turn then exhausts or taps your stuff, your artifacts, your creatures, your anything, you can't use it on your turn because you don't get to ready it till the end of your turn. So Keyforge is really adding a lot of cool elements, a lot of really unique, really strategic play, and really is going to be allows you to play this game at a really low entry level, allows you to get into the game and be in it forever because the decks aren't going to have some sort of meta where it's like, oh, this is no longer relevant because it doesn't stand up against these cards. Because you're working within your own deck and trying to build your own thing, your deck stays relevant. As long as you're trying to build 3 keys, your deck will be able to build 3 keys. So Keyforge has a lot of longevity to it at a low entry price that is really, I think, going to have a lot of fun, easy to play, going to be one of those games where you can just, hey, go to your store, be like, hey, you just want to play a quick game of Keyforge while we're waiting for this or this to start? Or, hey, man, I see you sitting here at the coffee shop, I see you got Keyforge deck, you won't play? I think it's going to be one of those games that becomes a staple that everyone has and everyone enjoys. So stay tuned. If you really like what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button and we'll get some more videos to you.